sound coming in, like put bass to it.
Put bass to my already deep as fuck voice.
That's to the audio itself.
To the audio itself. Yeah, you're gonna sound normal, and I'm gonna sound like Darth Vader. It's gonna be awesome.
The conversation thing.
The conversation thing. What is this? We've wanted to do a podcast for a while. Okay, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Jack.
And I'm Luke.
Yeah, Miller. I'm Bill Hard. We're not brothers, but
are we?
No. We've known each other since we're 9 years old, probably.
Yeah.
And
it's been about a decade now.
About a decade. Well, a little bit more, right? But we've, always wanted to do a podcast. We never really knew what about, and we still don't know what about, but here we are. Our conversations, our friendship can be found on this graph. No one knows what we're talking about. This is a graph I created when I was 16 years old, about conversations and such. I don't know if it was created when I was sober or not. But so I think that it still is true to this day. It was on my phone and we found it the other day and we were just like, oh shit, this would be fun to talk about. The conversation thing. What is the conversation thing?
It's how to evaluate after a date. Because you made this for me because I was about to go on a date and you're like, Luke, here we go. Here, I'm going to make you a little guide. After the date, you can analyze how it went using this graph. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And you drew it up. You were sober, by the way. Just
okay, good.
To correct you were sober. But
that's how you know the graph's legit.
Yeah, it is legit, and it's very useful. And
I would say now, looking back on it, it's not just about romantic relationships; it's also about friendships and just people you meet in general.
Everything in life, yeah.
Right, and so basically the way it goes, I'll say on the x-axis, to the far side of the x-axis is what we'll call CT, which is cute talk. At the origin point is small talk, and at the y-axis is intricate conversation, right? And then from there is different zones that go closer to each point, and the furthest away from the origin off in the diagonal is the better the conversation is. Right. There's a photo probably up now. And at this point,
have you seen the YouTube video of the Hot Crazy Matrix?
The what?
The Hot Crazy Matrix. It's a YouTube video. If you're listening out there, look it up. It's similar to this graph, kind of where you have these different zones.
Oh, the no-go zone. Like the burn, like
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother.
Exactly.
Right,
but they've got the no-go. They got the no-go zone.
And that must be where, because maybe we were watching that show. That must be where the no-go zone came from. But yeah. It's not. I think what it was is I saw that and I was like, this is a little misogynistic. This is a little. Oh yeah. This is a little
It was a little fucked up.
This is a little sexist. And I was like, I don't think it's all about that. I think it's about
conversation,
connection, right? Exactly. And other things like physical attractiveness can come and go. But
totally.
So I was like, let me make this for what I was thinking. And so the conversation thing. You've got your 3 points: intricate conversation, small talk, and cute talk. Down near small talk, closest to the origin is the no-go zone. So this is just talking about the weather, right? That's
or talking about having an argument, but a bad argument that's offensive and no one you're just kind of bashing the other person
Yeah.
Or is that a little too
I feel like that goes to me I would say that's more towards careful side of intricate conversation. The no-go zone to me is that relative that you barely see and you don't know what to say to them and they don't know what to say to you, but you have to be saying something to them.
Those are the worst, yeah.
So that's the no-go zone. And then below the no-go zone in the negative is all thumbs, which is there's no conversation. It's just you twiddling your thumbs. You can't do anything. And on the careful side of intricate conversation, so this is up on the y-axis, we got the careful side of intricate conversation. This is political talk, but it's not based on morals. It's just based on policies, yeah, right, and it's
just views,
nothing to do with personal belief, but all to do with just straight politics, which isn't horrible, but you just have to be careful, and we'll talk about why. But first, we'll go to the careful side of cute talk. careful side of cute talk is this is probably on a date. It could be a friend, that you're like building up a lot, and you're like feeding into their like you're
ego. You're just blowing smoke up their ass basically.
A little bit.
You're doing that so much to the point where it's like kind of appalling from the other side, like, oh my god, he's coming way too hard on me, like, way too fast. Like,
and that's where it could get into the watch out. Well, like, I feel like it's just a lot of like, you can do like, oh my god, what are you talking about? You're so hot. No, I'm not. Or what are you talking about? You look, it's like that back and forth that doesn't really go anywhere for either person. And then the watch out, we'll get to that on that side.
Memories are coming back from when you
right.
explained this, yeah.
And then right on like the upper right corner of the no-go zone is what I called milk toast. A phrase used in our I think this was what year? I know what year this was now because it was Mr. Sargent.
2017, I think.
2017. So
because it was he was at Maya. He made this for that date. And we were taking Sargent's class and anyway.
He used the phrase milk toast. I guess I found out eventually what milk toast really meant. It's really just like but I still think it pertains.
Like a spineless person.
It's a spineless person, especially one who's easily dominated or intimidated, very timid and unassertive, which works for this. Unassertive conversation, stuff that's just bland and almost seems to lack structure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And confidence or spine. Right. But the way I put it is, it's like toast that you spilled some milk on, so it's a little soggy.
So soggy. It's like a wet noodle.
But like you'll still eat it, but like it's not what it could be. When I didn't know what that phrase meant. And then you have fine right above milk toast, which is like this is actually someone who's maybe is your friend, but not someone you would seek out time.
You'd see them like once a month
to hang out with, right?
No longer than once a month.
Right. On the intricate conversation side, probably maybe you talk a little bit more morals in politics or like beliefs in politics, stuff that you relate to, and maybe you have disagreements, but you can still live with each other's presence. And then on the cute talk side, it's again someone who kind of builds you up, you build them up, but that's not all it is. It's a little bit more than that, but not much more than that.
Yeah.
And then we have watch out on both sides, on the furthest on the y-axis and furthest on the x-axis. Let's go to intricate conversation because you brought that up earlier. That's politics gone wrong.
Bad at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Yeah.
That's the worst kind of. I think on this whole scale is the worst it can be. Second worst probably all thumbs where there's nothing happening. One person believes maybe it's someone who. It's the difference between someone who's vegetarian and someone who is a vegetarian. Being able to have conversations about that. The difference between that and them wanting to kill each other.
Well, I think of it as like when I was maybe like, I don't know, 13, I was friends with this guy named Peter, right? And he loved PC. He was a big PC guy and I was a big Mac guy. I liked Apple, he liked Microsoft. And we wouldn't have any deep conversations, nothing emotional. Like it was purely like linear calculations. Like our conversations were just numbers.
How'd that friendship go?
Not very well. But it was just intricate conversation. Like we would just like look at the specs. Like I'd pull up some stat on my phone and be like, look, Apple's better than PC because of this, because they sell more and because the machines are sexier looking. And he's like, well, does it have as much RAM? Does it have as much memory or hard drive or whatever the CPU is or some shit? He pull up like something out of his ass, and like that's just like an intricate conversation. But
no one's learning anything.
No one's learning anything
because you're not listening to the other person. Right. You're just finding the next thing to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And the same could be with politics if you're not actually listening to what the other person says and you're just waiting for your turn to speak. So that's the watch out. That goes from someone you can be around to someone you probably don't want to be around.
Right.
Watch outside of cute talk. This is maybe you are dating this person or you are this person's friend, but the only thing you talk about is your relationship. You don't talk about anything going on in your lives. You don't talk about your friends. You don't talk about the world. You just talk about how in love you guys are, or how much of you guys are best friends, and all your conversations are about, oh my gosh, you're so amazing, and oh my gosh, I love you so much, and and
And that's like every Instagram couple that you see.
Right.
Like, they look so beautiful and so put together.
Right.
They got this account, but it's all cute talk.
It's all cute talk.
It's all facade.
Exactly. Or it's like they post a photo every single day about how good they are together and stuff. Right. And then, sure enough, probably a month later, you get the post, oh my gosh, I'm sorry to break it to all those people who were really rooting for us, but we decided to part ways.
Team Jared and Kim.
So. We're officially broken up, and there's that whole thing that comes out of that sort of relationship. Right. Which also, again, that I would say you're most likely to be cheated on or to be someone who cheats in that place too, because you're not getting anything other than like love and affection, which it sounds like a lot, but if that's as deep as it goes, then you're not really being built as a person necessarily. Right. There's nothing's being added to you by that. Okay, and then we have good in the middle, pretty much in the middle, right? Taking up most of the middle towards the upper right. And good's good.
It's like conversation you'd have with like your parents, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a good talk. Like that was a good talk, Mom.
If you have good relationships with your parents.
Oh, that's right.
Or your sibling, if you have a good relationship with your sibling, or a friend that
not me.
You would hang out with in a group of people, but maybe not one-on-one. Right. Maybe not one-on-one hangouts, but you would definitely hang out with them in the group, and you would seek out talking to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And you share common interests. And the conversation can last longer than 30 minutes, and you'll still have stuff left over to say. Right. A 15-minute conversation is good, but that's probably more around fine if it can't go longer.
Now, what about like a 15-minute conversation where like it's intellectual, it's deep, people are like learning stuff from each other, and like it's like a really good conversation, but it's only 15 minutes, and then they kind of like just like they took all their energy and burst it out into that 15
and
minutes,
now it's gone.
And it's gone. Would that be
I think that's
gold?
I think that's right in the middle.
In the middle, okay.
Because the question would be is, can you have another 15-minute conversation with this person again, or did you guys exhaust your possibilities with each other? Because you can do that. You can exhaust your connection with someone if you're really connected on one thing, and then after that, it's kind of like, okay, well, that was the thing, and we just exhausted it, and it's gone now. It's not bad. It's just you might not continue talking to that person. Silver is like someone you would hang out with one-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
Someone you would go to their house, they would come to your house.
Silver's great. Like,
Silver's awesome.
Silver's awesome, yeah.
Oh, yeah. On both sides, like, of it. And meeting, of course we'll get to gold in a second, but silver is like, it could be a best friend. It could definitely be a best friend. I don't believe in like we're probably best friends because I know since we're 9 years old.
But we're not brothers.
But you can have, I would even say that our relationship is more brotherly than it is.
It is, yeah.
Than it is like a best friendship, because I would say I have tons of best friends, right? And I think that's where silver is like those are those people you would call your best friends, or who you would say to their face, "You're my best friend," even though you might say that to someone else's face too. Right. Gold.
Silver. Gold.
Gold.
Well, you gotta expand this and add like diamond and platinum. And like it goes up from gold.
We got the rabbit hole.
Oh, the rabbit hole.
But
oh boy.
But gold is like you found your other half. Probably the person you would end up with if you want to live that life where you are with one person. I don't think it's actually a choice. I think you either meet the person or you don't, or
Can you have a gold conversation with someone you meet on the bus or at a coffee shop?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Well, and it's
then you should drop everything and like end up with that person, like date them if it's like a person you're attracted to of the interested sex or whatever. Like
that. It's interesting because like if you have a gold conversation with someone on the bus, likelihood is you'll exchange information, or it'll be that thing where you just couldn't in the moment, and you see them again some of the time and you're able to, or you don't. Like, and I think that's true with all of these. parts of the graph that you could have a conversation with someone and then never see them again. But it could happen with gold, and I'll tell you right now, it definitely has. For me, like at a camp when I was younger or something where like I met someone, I was like, oh my gosh, we're best friends now, and then all of a sudden they were gone out of my life, and I don't even remember their name now. Mm-hmm. But if you're lucky, you find someone you have that gold connection with, and you can see them more, and you either end up being their best friend, or you're dating them, or more. You know, gold relationships can be fucked up, though, by like people within the watch out sections, I think, because you can forget how good you have it because someone's loud in your life. And because someone else is loud in your life, you can forget how good you have it and then fuck up by like wanting to be with someone who's just a little bit louder, who you might get momentary like pleasure, whether it's, you know, physical or even like just emotional. From that person, you might think that you'll get more, but then it lasts for like barely any time, and it ends up being worse than it was. So like I think that's how people who were in really good relationships like gold, they could be interfered by that idea that because someone else in the moment seems a little louder, a little bit more enticing.
Could a gold get knocked down to the no-go though? But that's what I'm wondering. Could it go down that low? Like, we used to have a gold relationship. Now it's in the no-go. Like,
that's interesting.
I mean, like you have someone like so compatible, like two people so compatible with each other, but could it really go down to that low of ground?
That's the cool thing about this little graph that we made when we were 16.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure it out.
Is that like, I don't know. I think it's very like, me personally, I never had, like, besides grade school, never had someone who I ended up in a gold relationship with that didn't continue being in a gold relationship with them. Like you, when I met you and we were 9, we're still like best friends. My girlfriend currently, who we've been dating for like almost 2 years now. My brother for sure, Ethan, you know, and like nothing that ever, to me, because if it is gold, I do feel like it's really hard to break that up. And it would take a mistake on the part of someone like forgetting the connection that's established there. Right. And the rabbit hole, you've created your own language in the rabbit hole.
Oh, I remember this.
Right. Like the rabbit hole.
And I was joking. I was like, you know, this first date, we may just start talking in a different language, and bam, we're in the rabbit hole. We should get married, drop everything we've got, spend the rest of our lives together. That's what I thought I was gonna have, but that was not the case.
The rabbit hole though is like my brother's best friend Nina. One
you
day,
and Emma.
Or I would say me and Emma, but the example would be with them is that Nina said the word watermelon. And no one else in the car knew the context, but my brother started cracking up, crying, laughing, and he couldn't stop till we got home, and neither could she, and it just, you couldn't stop it. And that's rabbit hole because that would not be anything to anyone else, right? Like the rabbit hole is like...
We have a lot of those, you know, like I think earlier today, like when I was like hunting...
Oh no, well now we have... That's a real nice grill. That's a really nice grill. Oh, yeah. Like just little things where you've established a connection with someone to a level where you've created your own language with that person. You know, it could be a physical, like you see them and they like look at you a certain way. They could even like do something with their body that to you know exactly what that meant, that gesture meant, or it could be something they say. You know, or even a mood, like, you know, because when that person walked in, they set their coat down on the sofa instead of hanging it up like they usually do. You know that they're like in a bad mood, or you know exactly what that means. Like, I don't think it's just
like you begin to pick up on the idiosyncrasies of the individual, and you're like, whoa, they're not doing their typical thing. They must be feeling bad, you know. Yeah, like, I'm not sensing that they're okay.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. It doesn't have to be watermelons.
So that's rabbit hole.
That's rabbit hole. That's the entire conversation thing. I think that Also, I don't even know if this is how graphs fucking work. Probably not. I'm sure someone's.
It seems legit.
It seems good, but I feel like someone in the comment section of whoever possibly might listen to this is going to be like, well, this isn't how graphs work.
Well, the comment section is the no-go zone.
Oh yeah.
For any YouTube video, if you're commenting and you're in the no-go zone.
For anyone viewing right now, you unless your comments are nice, that's the no-go zone. Be careful, watch out.
You're in the gold if you subscribe.
Yeah.
If you share.
Yeah, like this video, and you're in silver. Subscribe if you want to be in the gold.
Yeah.
And if you want to end up in the rabbit hole, send money to our homes, right? Is that how that works?
Patreon, yeah, we'll set up a Patreon store for them. Buy our merch. It's pretty good.
The reason this graph works, and some might say, well, are there other things within this? Like, it's not always about politics or something like existential. Like, what about if you both love manga or Dungeons and Dragons or some weird television show? Like, I put that towards intricate conversation, But then some people might say, okay, well, what if you're both really into meditation or something that actually connects you to, but isn't just cute talk? Well, maybe that's more towards the middle, or maybe that's more leaning towards cute talk or leaning towards the conversation, depending. Or maybe it's directly in the middle. That's where it gets interesting to me, And then gold assumes that by the time you're at that level, you're both having amazing cute talk and amazing intricate conversation with that person. I don't think, like, even with a friend necessarily, you can't not have cute talk. Cute talk I don't relate that to, like, relationships. Cute talk can be like just being nice and like building up your friend and like being there for them. The reason it's called cute talk is because all the way over to the side, it is literally just cute talk. It's nothing more.
Another thing is like two people together would kind of have to like judge it with this graph. Like, I mean, if you have two people having a conversation and then after the conversation you have them each judge
how it went based on this graph,
they could have totally different responses. Like one could be in the gold, one could be in the no-go,
and that's
or the cute like
that's the dangerous thing about this. That's the dangerous thing about this. Like because you might. Well, it's dangerous, but I also think it's helpful. Like,
oh yeah,
I wish so much that I had thought of this when I was like dating one of my ex-girlfriends, because then I would have known like, oh, maybe I should have seen what happened coming, or maybe I know what this really is. And like, I think that's something that society tries to tell you, because the average age of marriage in the United States is 23.
Wow, that's young.
It's so young.
That's really young.
And what it does is it makes society says, well, if you want to have been dating that person for 2 years or 2.5 years, you must have met them by the time you're 20, maybe 21. And then you're like, wait, no, that's not... Wait, what? And then you're like, well, and then also, that means that not only have you met this person, but you've had a relationship with them for that long. So that's bullshit to me. Like, I think you could be 60 when you meet that person, or you could go your whole life having a bunch of really good relationships and never have one forever. Some people get lucky, like when I was 17 and I met Emma,
Right.
But it's now we've been dating for like 2 years, and so it's like I feel lucky in that aspect, but I wasn't looking for it and I didn't expect to get it this early, and I didn't think I should, or that I even should later. I don't think I should in 2 years, So with this, the reason I mention that is because with this, you can be in a relationship that's just in good, or fine, or silver, and like just do it. Like, just because it's not gold doesn't mean, one, it will never get there, but also doesn't mean that it's worth breaking up, because there could be things better out there, because you don't know. If something's going well, just keep it up. Why stop it?
And an important thing to remember is like your life doesn't revolve, and their life doesn't revolve around your relationship. Like if you're married with a person, like you guys can, like my parents, I don't think they have like a goal, like you and Emma, very on the same level, very compatible, very gold. But my parents, like, they have different interests, you know, but they married and
But I still think
they're very happy people.
Like, for
so
instance,
it's
my
like,
parents have completely different interests,
Yeah.
but I would put them in gold.
Oh.
Because...
I wouldn't for mine. So I'm sorry, Mom and Dad.
No.
Don't give me up.
Well, okay. So let me explain. It doesn't necessarily... Gold doesn't necessarily... That rabbit hole is same language, right?
Yeah.
You could be married to someone who's in silver even, or gold, and it can be amazing, incredible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that gold means that's the one, and if they're not gold, it isn't. I don't have the authority to say that. You don't, and neither does this fucking graph.
Right.
Like I said, if you're in silver or good, keep going with it.
Yeah.
Because you could be having a great life. Because also, relationships aren't everything that's part of your life. If you tried to make your whole life about whatever relationship you'd come in contact with, you're forgetting about one of the most important parts of your life, which is just yourself. And like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I need to find this other person, or oh my gosh, I need to succeed in my job, or I need to succeed with my passion. All those things are important. But they're equally as important, if not less important, than the most valuable thing you have, which is just that you're alive. Right? So, like, if you waste being alive on someone else, it's kind of a waste of life, right?
It's like they're sucking life out of you.
Make a good relationship like a bonus to your already lucky ass life.
Right.
If you're just alive, right? Make it a bonus, just like succeeding in your passion, your job, succeeding in like, all those different things about like mental, physical, spiritual, social health.
Right.
All of those things are equally as important. To give this, like, that's why I'm saying you should, if you're in good or silver, don't leave it because it's not gold, because that's one part of your life that's really good. Let the other parts be really good too. If you're in a gold relationship, you might be like, okay, this is a huge part of my life and takes precedence over some of the other things.
So, they use the term like significant other.
Destiny? Is that, you're talking about destiny now?
No, more like significant other, like this is like your other half. Like, you're not really a person, it's like you and this person, and then you two become a person.
Don't you get into like religion and destiny?
I know, like, I feel like some religions are definitely very like, you two are one
like
person.
You're meant to be with that person.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, and that's, to me, it's like, that's really dangerous. I think it's an issue, because that's why so many people don't get divorced and end up in like abusive relationships.
Right.
That's why so many people end up in relationships that...
Arranged marriages.
Well, that's...
Like that.
To me, it's like, you shouldn't... Just like the society thing about like how it says, technically society is trying to tell you that you should be 23 when you found that person. If you thought that way and decided, well, I might as well marry this person because I'm 23 and everyone else is doing it, and if I don't, then I might never get it, then you might waste an opportunity that would come further down the road. Right? And so that idea of like significant others, I think you get lucky. You put yourself out there, you find tons of people, and you don't need one gold person. You can have thousands of silvers, or hundreds of silvers, or thousands of goods, Like, you don't need one gold. You can have 20 silvers and 10 goods, and be fulfilled. It's not all about that one other person. Because if you try to make your life about someone else, then by the time you meet that person, they're going to be like, I don't want you, because you're not a whole person. Without me, you're just a half of a person. Even in a relationship, without your other half, you should still be a full individual that has a lot to offer.
I just want to... I hate how a lot of people connect like their religion and their marriage,
Like
I know, like, where we're going from this conversation Rader scale system thing to like deep like religious like societal problems, like.
Oh well, my favorite thing about this little podcast, whatever the fuck this is, I don't even know if we're gonna air this. This might just be practice, but that's the fun thing about what we're doing, because I don't give a fuck what people think about my opinions, because that's what they are. They're my opinions, right? So if you're listening to this, I'm never going to say this is a fact and this is how it works and this is this, because This whole graph, the fact that we created it and drew it in itself is our creation. It's like a method of acting. Meisner, Stanislavski. Doesn't mean that one doesn't work. You can get the same result out of whatever lens you want to take. This is our lens. Mm-hmm. You know, doesn't mean it's the right one. But I do think it's helpful. You know, I think that it does have a good balance between small talk, which is essentially being able to talk. Like that's like knowing social skills. Mm-hmm. Intricate conversation, which is like, are you elevating the person you're with and are they elevating you? And then cute talk, which is, are you supporting that person? Are they supporting you? Right? It's like, those to me are fundamental things personally, and I think that the way the whole everything works, I like my milk toast. That's how I feel. That's good. Right. It's fun. All right, well that was, I guess, the first time we're doing this.
Where would you put this? Leave in the comments below where you would put this entire conversation in this thing. Would it be gold? Would it be gold?
Oh, dude, they're gonna say milk toast, and I'm gonna be like, fuck. Milk toast.
Well, that's a no-go comment.
That's a real no-go comment.
That's a really no-go comment.
That's a real no-go comment. That's a really nice squirrel.